Welcome to another episode of our personal empowerment audio series, Finding Yourself in Paradise. Hi, I'm Michael Benner.
And I'm Steve Snyder, and our program today is about fresh starts and second chances. As I was driving here this morning along the Hana Highway here in beautiful Maui, after an incredible rainstorm last night, I saw the waterfalls rushing and the rivers flowing, and the very mountains were weeping water, and it felt so fresh and so new and so revitalized. And it made me think about how, you know, we have the opportunity at any time to say, okay, I'm going to just pick up and start over. I'm just going to take that thing I've been procrastinating and I'm going to do it now. And it seems like the beginning of the year is a perfect time, a perfect excuse to say, let's go.
You bet. Happy New Year. Starting over New Year's resolutions, turning over a new leaf.
And, of course, you get to choose which leaf you want to turn over, but this is the perfect time to do that. So we're talking about actually two different areas of your life that you can make some powerful changes right now. The two areas that you don't live in. You can change your past and you can change your future. We're talking about letting go of some of the pain from the past that's been holding you back, the grudges, the remorse, the regret, the guilt. Not letting go of the memory of what happened, not letting go of the lessons that you learned from them, but the pain that you're still holding on to that serves you no longer, letting go of that pain, and then reconnecting with some joy, some excitement, some anticipation about something good happening, something that you've always wanted and you haven't been working on lately, or something that you've been working on but you want to get re-inspired to put more energy into. So the past and the future can cause you to create this wonderful feeling of refreshment by letting go of the past, by reconnecting with the future. Of course, it all has to happen in the now.
Yeah, I remember in the Seth books, he would say, your point of power is now. And, of course, that's all you've got is right now. It's like the Creedence song, Someday Never Comes.
Yeah, or I've been saying to myself, bliss is this is, and this is the is that is.
Oh, I like that, Steve.
It's like this is, like if you're feeling bliss at any given moment, that's your is. And at any given moment, you can feel bliss, because bliss is just the absence of suffering. And at any moment, you can be aware of the fact that you're not suffering. You know, I mean, maybe some things will happen in the future that you'll suffer, and yeah, you suffered in the past. But at any given moment, you know, unless you're in extraordinary pain, at any given moment, you can find a way to be free of suffering. And bliss is this is, and this is the is that is.
I like that. One of the things that I learned personally as a working hypnotherapist many, many years ago, in the context of stop smoking, was that there is no such thing as failure if you frame it properly. Like, many people will tell you, well, I had to quit smoking cigarettes 3, 4, 5 times before I was really successful. But every one of those failures was really not a failure, but a stepping stone toward a desired outcome. All right. Maybe each time you did a little better or you were a little more experienced. The idea of starting over has to be balanced with an idea of perpetual growth, I think. Learning as a lifestyle. The longing that we all have, not everybody acknowledges it, but we've all got a longing to be more, to understand ourselves better, or leave some significant contribution here behind when we leave this earth, whatever it may be. Starting over is part of continuing on, onward and upward.
And, of course, as Bob Dylan said, the only thing you know how to do is keep on keeping on, and you do that. When you can make changes, when you can change direction, change speed, when you have new ideas, then go with those. But when you don't know what to do, then pick up where you left off. And what we're saying here is to do two real important things. One is to tie up some loose ends from the past. There's some stuff you're holding on to, not the memories. It's always good to hold memories, but the feelings that are attached to those memories, the feelings that debilitate you, the feelings that make you feel sad and lonely and depressed and bad and guilty and angry and all, those feelings, just like when you broke a bone, it hurt. But you let go of that pain, you remember that you broke the bone, you remember it hurt. You just don't remember how much the pain was anymore. Well, we need to do that with some of those feelings from the past that are bogging us down, tying us down. And there are dreams that we've just either disconnected from or put on hold or just aren't as gung-ho about as we could be, that we really need to reconnect to it. And those two things, from the place of power, from the now, to let go of the past that's pulling us down, to attach to a dream of the future that could uplift us, from the place of now, we can have bliss now by doing that. We can have bliss in the moment by releasing what's hurting in the past and recognizing that we're feeling the peace in the moment. And again, having the happiness that comes from being on the way. Happiness is not out there. Happiness is not the goal that you're shooting for. Happiness is the way, what you feel on the way to the goal.
That is wonderful foreshadowing, and let's go back and review that now. We'll parse it and take it apart and look at each of these pieces. Let's start with this idea of letting go that Steve's talking about. How do you get a picture of letting go of the past? What does that mean? Well, let's go to a real popular buzz phrase in psychology for decades now, emotional baggage. People talk about, I've been carrying all this emotional baggage. What's in the baggage? Well, garbage, mostly. It's not really suitcases full of clothes you don't need. It's garbage. It's all of your hurt. It's resentment. It's anger. It's regrets. It's all based in anxiety, stress, and fear, and therefore it all represents something you don't really understand about yourself. But why would we carry, think about it, why would we carry hurt forward? And is that hurt holding on to us, or are we holding on to it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because it feels as if the hurt is holding on to us. Like, I don't want it anymore. Why doesn't it go away? But the reason it doesn't go away is because it is something I continually reinforce. It doesn't go away because when I think about it, instead of releasing it, I hold on to it. And so my mind thinks it's really important to hold on to this. My survival somehow is at stake. If I don't hold on to this, then I'll be endangered. I'll be like, something bad could really happen to me. So I better hold on to this to make sure that it doesn't ever happen again. It's understand the part of the mind, the ego part of the mind is extremely paranoid, and it would rather err on the side of surviving and look like a fool or do stupid things. It doesn't care much about that. What it cares about is not dying. So if this could be dangerous, doing this again, the thing that happened in the past, if it could be dangerous to you or to your self-image even, and you think because you let go of the pain, you're going to forget that it happened and you're going to go do it again. That's why it's holding on to the pain. What we need to do is release the pain. Now, how do you hold on to something? How do you release something? Well, it's the same way you hold on to a cup or release a cup. You tighten around it and you let go is the way you release. The way you hold on to a thought is to think it and tighten up. Tighten your muscles, tighten your breath, tighten up. The way you release a thought is to think it and feel safe. The way you release a thought is to imbue it with the feeling of feeling safe so that it gets all messed up. It doesn't feel dangerous anymore. Now feels a little, used to feel dangerous, now it feels safe. It doesn't know what it feels. It's not powerful anymore. It's a little confused thought now. It's not, you just take away its power by confusing it with feeling safe.
Confusion is the word. How confused is it to say? For example, let's talk about carrying. They're not holding on to us. They feel that way. You're right.
Yeah.
But we're carrying a grudge.
Even against somebody we don't know anymore or doesn't even know.
They might even be dead.
Yeah, right.
But I am never going to forget what this person did to me and how they disappointed me, let me down, lied to me, cheated on me, betrayed me. And so to pay them back, I'm going to carry this hurt.
Now, the ego is rationalizing that's so you don't let it happen again. But the truth is, all you have to carry is the memory. You don't have to carry the hurt. You don't want to forget it happened. Forgive and forget doesn't make any sense. Forgive and remember, but don't remember the pain. Remember the lesson.
That's right. Forgive, but don't forget. What we need to hold on to, and let's be careful with the word, because the truth is that understanding is a quality of love. Those two words go hand in hand, and you don't have to hold on to love or understanding. It's magnetic. it flows with you, or it's everywhere equally present, like a fish never has to worry about whether there will be water at its destination, right? It has no destination that isn't wet. And there's no place we can go where there isn't the ability to understand yourself, to understand these feelings, and stop dragging this hurt from place to place with some kind of, Steve, almost martyr complex. I've caught myself in the past as a young person. I had no skills. I had no knowledge. We're not born with a handbook. I thought, and this is where the ego lies to us, that I was somehow protecting myself. You said it. That I was somehow safer by always being afraid and too afraid to feel safe.
Such a strange paradox, isn't it? But I think so many people experience that. They're afraid to feel safe, and they only feel safe when they're like being paranoid. Like they're
if
watching.
I feel safe, that's dangerous.
Right. I can't relax. I can't let down.
That's right. So if I feel in great danger, fear,
then nothing can get me. Then I'm safe.
It's jabberwocky. The ego is lying. Now that's its job, is to make us feel in danger.
And again, it will be more than happy to play the fool as long as survival is enhanced. The probability of survival is enhanced. The thing is, as we've been saying show after show, there's very little real danger anymore. The higher self is only afraid of true, real, clear and present danger, something that can hurt you, actually kill you or injure you. And there's so little of that in the real world. I found myself recently going through a lot of anxiety, releasing a lot. It's because things are going so good. Love brings up everything unlike itself. And I all of a sudden, all these things that I did in the past that I was ashamed of or that I felt embarrassed by or stupid about, all my whole life just started flashing, bad stuff started flashing before my eyes. As I'm sitting in paradise looking at my view, all these negative thoughts came up. And I kept reminding myself that bliss is this is. That happened, but I can remember the event, but I can step back from the feeling of being embarrassed or ashamed or whatever and just look at the event like I'm watching a movie, and remember and learn the lesson, but detach from the pain. And every time I feel any of that pain, I can just take that deep breath and release it. And by the time I'm done, the pain from that is gone. I mean, the memory is still clear, but the pain is gone. The reason we have difficulty letting go of the past is because we don't want to think about it. And when we do think about it, it causes us to clutch it, to hold on to it. So what we need to do is want to think about it. We want to remember the bad stuff so we can diffuse it, so we can take away its power, so we can pull out its charge. It'll be there, just be there as an inert memory.
If we're going to honor the new year as an opportunity to turn over a new leaf, to make some important changes, to try it all over again, to give her another go, then we really need to understand the relationship between the fear and the hurt and why we carry it. I mean, I think it probably makes sense to everybody listening that a response to any kind of anxiety or stress or fear would be to tighten your muscles, as if to automatically get ready to fight or run away from this great danger. But you're not only holding on to that muscular tension when you respond to anxiety, stress, fear, whatever term you want to use, apprehension, worry, doubt, nervousness. You also hold on to those very feelings, and you also hold on to the thoughts which can become obsessive and a resulting behavior which can become compulsive, which causes you to hold on even more, not only to physical tension in the body, but to thoughts and feelings, to obsessive and compulsive behaviors, don't you see? It's holding on in each of these different planes. And so the antidote, to breathe, to let go, to feel safe, allows you to look at what's been scaring you and confusing you, move into it, and be the one that realizes, oh, well, no wonder I felt that way. No wonder I've been feeling this way. And, Steve, my experience of this process over the years is less that I can put it down then once I understand it, really, and by that, what it says about me, all of this hurt that was done to me by other people or circumstances, I take ownership for that. I understand it in Paradise Thinking and Alpha. I don't have to put it down. It just disappears. It wasn't real in the first place. It was, again, fear, which is how ignorance and confusion feels. Imagine if we could get conscious enough that every time we hurt, we say any emotional hurt is rooted in fear, and that is a symptom of something I don't know about myself. I mean, that's a pretty simple formula. What if we could do that? If whether I'm angry or disappointed or upset or contemptuous or lonely or whatever, if it's not love, if it hurts, I need to say to myself, this is rooted not in love but in fear. Fear is the feeling of ignorance, and what I am confused and ignorant about is me. Know thyself, to thine own self be true, and voila, it just vaporizes, it just disappears.
So to release the past, what you must do is face it. You know, if it comes up and you keep pushing it back down, that's holding on. So, you know, if like, oh, I don't want to think about that, well, that doesn't get rid of it. You've got to think. It's okay to think about it. Thinking about it's not what you're scared of. It's feeling about it that you're scared of. Thinking about it's not a problem if it didn't hurt. So if you could like think about it like it was watching a movie of somebody else, you know, just think about it, but not feel the pain. And the way you do that, of course, is to replace the feeling of pain with the feeling of safety, with the deep breath and the feeling safe. Whether it's the past or, in essence, the same process applies to the future. If you have just a quick negative thought about something bad happening, I'm walking down the stairs the other day, and in my mind flashed the idea of me tripping and falling down the stairs. Don't know where the thought came from, but when it does, the first thing I do is I go, release that, you know, or cancel, I used to say. You know, I think that came from the Silva mind control method. Wonderful program, early pioneer in the field, Jose Silva, one of both of our earliest mentors. But there's lots of ways to do it. It's just, if I think of something bad happening to myself or somebody that I love, it's okay that I have that thought. It's not like I'm making it happen. It's like I have the fear of it, so it's submitted for my approval. I choose to not approve of that. I don't want to put any energy into that happening. I want to put that energy into it being released, the fear being released. So if I see something bad happening to a friend of mine or to me, then I can go, good, because bad thoughts are good if you breathe into them and release them. Bad thoughts are good thoughts are good, all thoughts are good. So this is a good time this new year to create a good habit, in fact, a great habit of paying attention to your negative thoughts and your negative feelings about the past and the future. And when they pop up, especially the big one, you know, the anchor, the one that's been holding you back, you know which one I'm talking about or which two I'm talking about. Those regrets, remorse, sad things, anger things, especially those when they come up. Now, this is a good year, 2009. Face it. Face the fear. Face the anger. Face whatever it is that's been anchoring and holding you back, because this is the time to fly. You know, this is the year to fly. And to fly, we need to let go of the ballast, like a hot air balloon. You got to let go of the sandbag, and you got to make sure there's enough good excitement going on, enough hot air going up into that balloon to make it rise. So disconnect with the pain of the past, reconnect with the excitement, the happiness that comes with believing in picking up and moving forward in your future.
Yeah, and never give up. Winston Churchill said, in all things, persevere. Never quit, never quit, never quit. You may want to modify your goals. We'll talk a little about that. You can even change your mind, but that's not giving up.
Didn't he also say if you find yourself in hell, keep going?
He did.
It's the same basic concept, you know. Especially then, don't quit.
Yeah, you got to bear it down. You got to face it. You got to move directly into what you don't know. And you're right, that's scary, but that's what courage is. It's not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to do it anyway.
And you're not going to die. And you're not going to be injured. You know, the ego is afraid of those things. It's afraid of actually being maimed in some way or dying, and that's not going to happen. Facing anything you ever did before to anyone or to yourself, or anything anybody ever did to you that you feel ashamed of, facing any of that will not hurt you or injure you. If the mind is so frightened by it, it will block the memory. I mean, if it's so bad, like there are cases where people were abused horribly in childhood or raped, and the memory is so terrible that they block it. In fact, as I recall, you had an experience where you flew off of a motorcycle at 60 miles an hour and you blocked out the experience of flying through the air and landing, you know, and because it's so horrific, the brain can block those things out. Anything you can remember is because you're supposed to. And you've got what it takes to face it. You've got what it takes to face it. Anything you can't face, your mind won't let you remember.
Yeah, the religious people will say God never gives you more than you can handle. But he, she, it will certainly test your mettle.
how else do you grow? If you don't lift weight, the muscle doesn't grow.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
See, this is not about steeling yourself against, nor girding your loins so that you just suffer through the negativity in your life. It's looking directly at it to understand it, because the only thing about it that hurts and causes further confusion is what you don't know about it. And again, what you don't know, it says about you. Your job is not to understand other people, right? It doesn't matter who made you feel this way or that. What matters is that that's the way you feel. And the mind's going to try to give you a bunch of reasons why you feel that way, but often you'll find none of those reasons make sense, and still you're left with the feeling. So you say, well, what am I going to do? I'm thinking, I'm reasoning, I'm rationalizing, I'm judging, I'm trying to figure it out. And it's not helping. What do? What you do is you sit with the feeling. You let go of those thoughts. We're going to do it in this program. We'll do an audio journey to show you what we're talking about. And as you begin to understand it, like the dawning and awareness, could be something that happened recently or a recall of something that happened long ago. But as that awareness, the insight, and the understanding begins to arrive, because you're feeling safe and calm, the mind is quiet in this paradise, alpha brainwave level of thinking. And then as you get the understanding and the hurt falls away, you naturally affirm the positive. There's no struggle here. There's letting go of the confusion, letting go of shadows, really, letting go of nightmares, as you find out it was just a bad dream, right? It was born of and supported only by what you don't know about yourself in this particular area. Face it, understand it, breathe into it. Oh, I see. And then move to affirmation. Keep them positive, keep them present tense. Why don't we review the 4 Ps real quickly? Because again, the idea of going positive here and setting goals, I think, is the next area we need to move into.
Sure. The 4 Ps of programming the mind are positive. You have to imagine what you do want. Present tense, you have to imagine it as if you already have it. Practice or persistence or perseverance, you got to do it over and over and over again. And how many times do you have to do it? How much practice it take to create a habit? How much repetition? Well, the answer depends on the 4th P, the most important P, and of course that's the passion. It's for you algebra fans, it's X number of repetitions at Y emotional amplitude. You know, how much passion depends on how many repetitions. With a little passion, it takes a lot of repetition. With a lot of passion, very little repetition will do it. So here's the idea. The beginning of the year is always the time people love to set goals, so that's a great idea. But let's take a look at goals in a whole different way this year. Let's look at goals as not what we're supposed to achieve, but let's look at goals as, for 2009, the best possible outcome if everything fell together. Like, you probably won't get it, but you don't want to aim at anything but the bullseye, right? So what we're going to aim at is the best possible outcome for 2009 in our career or in our relationship or in our money or in our health or in our family or whatever. You pick it, but the idea is if everything came together, you did your best, everything else came together, what's the best possible outcome you could create? And that's the target. Now, the idea is if you move from January 1st toward December 31st toward that target, however you get toward it, however far you get, that's the success. It doesn't matter if you get all the way there or not. It's going to be a heck of a lot farther than you would have gotten if you didn't have a target like that and you weren't moving every single day forward. It's not about getting there. The purpose of a goal is not to achieve it. If the purpose of a goal was to achieve it, what you're saying is you're not allowed to change your mind. What you're saying is you're wiser now than you will be 6 months from now when you know more. I mean, clearly you get to change goals and you get to change direction. What you need a goal for is 2 things. Number one, as George Harrison said, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You need to have a goal to know which direction to take that next step. And the most important, the bigger the goal, the more passionate you are about the goal, the more likely it is you'll take that step because of the magnet, because of the law of attraction, because the idea is the heart is not moved by small dreams.
Setting goals is planting a thought seed. In the car allegory we use sometimes, it is the mental nature, it is your thoughts that set these goals that, as Steve has just said, determines our direction. So the thoughts, the goals, the intention, the willpower, the perseverance and determination, that's the steering wheel. Yeah. That fourth P, however, the passion. Talk about that, Steve, because now we're talking about the pedals.
Yeah, that's fear's the brake, and excitement or enthusiasm's the gas pedal. Passion, however you do passion, whether it's really loud and exuberant or whether it's really quiet confidence, it's how much emotion you're feeling, not whether, not what kind of emotion, just the intensity of it. So imagine what you want is if you've already got it over and over again with great passion, imagine the greatest possible outcome you can. Like, anything that's possible. The mind will not work for the impossible. It knows better than to attempt to do the impossible. But, every single day people put, huge amounts of money into lotteries because it's possible, And by the way, I think it's a great idea to put $1 into the lottery. If you don't have another way of imagining being fabulously wealthy, that's a great investment for $1. $2 in the lottery is a waste of $1. That's silly. You're not going to win the lottery, but $1 for $1, if you can dream of being fabulously wealthy, that's a great goal to start moving toward. It doesn't matter if you end up with $250 million or $250,000 if you have nothing now. Both are wonderful, moving in the direction. So instead of doing what most people do, which is not set goals, or those that do set goals, what most people do is they set small goals they think they can achieve. They're pretty sure they can achieve. That's not the point. If you're pretty sure you can achieve it, then it doesn't excite your brain. What your brain is excited about is something that it's got an outside shot at. It's like a lottery. It's got a chance, and it doesn't much care about the odds. It cares about the size of the prize. It's got a chance at this great outcome. And we are happy believing that we are moving toward that outcome. We don't have to get to that outcome to be happy. We're happy thinking we're moving in that direction.
I want to take this opportunity to talk just a little bit about the whole idea of passion in a meditative or contemplative state. That's what paradise thinking or the alpha brainwave state is.
It's not contradictory. It's not like when you close your eyes and relax, you can still feel enormous passion.
Yeah, and yet it is not a passion that suffers the vagaries of the lower emotional nature. And so what I want to say about it is that when the body is still and the mind begins to quiet as you breathe slowly, feel safe, let go of muscular tension. You have a still body. Now the mind begins to quiet. Now the emotional turmoil begins to settle down, to tranquilize, to become more calm, often compared to a glass lake. And yet something remains. There is a fire that's very coherent. There is a passion that is a quality of passion that is much more refined. And again, the word coherent keeps coming up for me, like a laser beam is coherent light. It's focused light. So we're talking about a focused passion that remains and indeed stands above a more refined, higher frequency, much more powerful, that remains when the mind is quiet and the emotional nature is calm.
So the apparent contradiction between relaxation and passion is dissolved when you understand passion can be described as just a bliss state, just a state of joy, just a state of awe and wonder. Think back to early childhood when you first discover things like clouds or something, when things that make your jaw drop, things that make you go, wow, that's incredible passion. That's amazing passion. It's not excitement. It doesn't get your heart beating fast. It's the kind of thing that actually makes you stop and take a deep breath. It's the kind of thing that makes you slow down and smell the roses. It's the kind of thing that makes you take notice. So that's the kind of passion that you could experience. Or
that's enchantment, I would call that.
That's a wonderful
Or
word.
Wonderful. You just used it. Wonderful. To fill our lives with wonder, we have to wonder to be wonderful.
Isn't that amazing? If you're full of wonder, it's wonderful. But if you're full of awe, it's not awful. I mean, I wonder how the language came up with that one. But the idea...
That's where God-fearing came from.
Yeah.
Confusing all fear with the awe.
Yeah.
Or awesome, like overwhelmingly, indescribably.
Too much.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that... People get confused. They think that God-fearing To love God, you have to be afraid of God. I mean, it's another one of those funny conundrums.
That's right. The only way to feel safe is to be paranoid. The only way,
But certainly we can agree that we're going to have to wonder if life is going to be wonderful and filled with wonder. Yes. But I like the word enchantment, and we give that up often, way too soon. And I'm working to get that back in my life, to awaken the child within. If I ever see life as boring, there's something wrong with my view, not with life. I mean, it's inconceivable that anybody could really have a boring life without having to work really hard.
They could find aspects of life. I mean, but to say all of life is boring clearly is saying I'm taking no responsibility whatsoever. I'm just bored. I'm just locked away from all that out there because there's so much opportunity to find interest if you want to.
Starting at the library. Let's go to the library.
You want enchantment. There's a great place to find enchantment, or in a DVD store, or in in an old folks' home, talking to some people who can tell you about what life was like back in the Korean War. I mean, there's enchantment everywhere if you want to go look for it.
It's a good word. Magic is another word for it, or mystery, or why do we have to have all the answers? See, that's the problem with this high-tech age. That's what's killing enchantment, is the belief that we know everything. And enchantment requires a quality of understanding that there are some things that can never be known, and some things that you think you know that you're going to know better in the future. And I think rolling with that process rather than this insane dash to try to get all the answers. We're curious, I understand, but
you can't know everything anymore. Like, take any concept in the world and Google it, and you'll see, 11 million hits? I mean, how could you know everything? How could anyone know everything? It's not the point. But the point is, I think, enchantment often comes from learning a lot about something. Like, the more you know about something, the more exciting, enchanting, interesting it becomes. So I've always been, interested in learning a little bit about a lot of things. I'm very, very eclectic in my reading, but when I find something that I'm particularly piques my interest, I like to learn a lot about that. And that's always been one of my goals, is to master another field, to master another subject. That doesn't mean to be the best in the world at it. It means to be able to talk intelligently with the best of the world about it.
That's very nicely said. And that's very Socratic. The unexamined life is not worth living. And at his trial, there's a great story. Socrates is on trial for corrupting the youth of Athens, teaching them to think for themselves. He was corrupting the youth. And the prosecutor says to Socrates, this is 500 years BC, so they say you're the wisest man in all of Greece. What makes you the wisest man? And Socrates says, because I realize how little I know, and the more I know, the more I realize there is to know. And you are the fools, for you think you know something. Yeah, that's wisdom, to know how much more there is to know. So that sometimes people just say simply, the more you know you don't know. I would say it a little differently. The more I know, the more I realize there is yet to be known. And that keeps unfolding. That's like a fractal. And you can fall into that bottomless pit of there's always more to know, and there's always a bigger picture. And that's enchantment to me, and that's wonderful, and I'd much rather pursue that moving into this new year than some kind of specific goal that I'm going to get to and then stop.
So if you could put yourself 365 days into the future, and here we are at the beginning of almost 2010, let's say, a year from now, what has transpired in this last year that was the most wonderful thing that could have transpired? I mean, that's where you have to go. It's so amazing to me that people, again, either don't set goals, in which case their mind's so confused about what direction to go because you haven't told it, or if they do set goals, they set goals of things they kind of want, but it's kind of like aiming at the last ring out on the bullseye. It's not aiming at the target. You don't always hit the target. In fact, you rarely hit the target, but you always want to aim at the target. You always want to aim at the best possible outcome. Doesn't mean you're going to get there. You probably won't. Sometimes you will, oftentimes you won't, but that's not the point. The point is, why would you aim for less? Aim for less than impossible, that makes sense. But aim for less than the most possible? It doesn't make sense. It's not logical to me to desire with great passion anything less than the most you could possibly imagine that you want.
Well, it's not satisfying to shoot for the broadside of the barn. It's too easy to hit.
With a shotgun,
Or a slingshot if we're kids or whatever. But if you go over and put a couple of concentric circles and we shoot for a nice tight target, a bullseye.
Much more exciting.
Yeah, and even if I get close, it's okay. It's all relative. It's relative success. Happiness is a process of unfolding. It's a journey. Steve and I will tell you again and again. And the wisdom of the world, we certainly did not invent this idea, but always be clear that happiness, like peace and love, is the way. It's the middle way. It's the path to a series of outcomes that then continue to unfold. Success does not take you to happiness. Happiness takes you to a success that leads to more happiness and more success, but you've got to see it as unfolding, as like climbing the spiral staircase.
So let's take this opportunity to call this new beginnings, inceptions, birth of the new. Time to let go of an anchor or two that have been holding you back. Not the memory, just the pain associated with the
grudge,
yeah, the regret, the remorse, the embarrassment.
The pain you've been dragging around.
The baggage.
Yeah, right.
You don't need it anymore. This is a good time to let go. All it takes is an excuse, and New Year's is a wonderful excuse. And let's put a lot of hot air in this big balloon that's carrying us up now by imagining the most possible wonderful outcome that we can. So it's letting go of the anchor, or the sandbag, if you will, and putting the ballast, I guess they call that, and putting the hot air into the balloon. The hot air is the dream. The ballast is the pain. Let go of one, attach to the other. But remember, when we attach to a goal, it's imagining what we really want, positive, as if we've already got it, present tense, over and over again, with persistence and perseverance and practice, with great passion. But then we want to hang on to it loosely. We don't want to hold tight to a goal. We want to, because the odds are we probably won't achieve it. And even if we do achieve it, if we're holding tightly, that's the most we'll achieve. If we're holding loosely, we might be able to surpass it and achieve something even better, or something that doesn't look better but is better, because maybe it's not what we want, but in fact it's what we need. So let's do an audio journey. Let's talk about letting go of the past as we're moving into the new year, and looking forward to the future, disconnecting from the pain, reconnecting with the enthusiasm and the excitement, and make this a real happy new year.
The fear, anxiety, confusion, and stress that we carry as muscular tension seems at times to be an armor that protects us. Soon, however, it becomes a prison that contains us. Take a nice, slow, deep breath as you close your eyes now, providing this is a good time for you to get real comfortable. Put your shoulders back and open up your chest and take a few slow, deep breaths. And as you exhale, let that muscular armoring fall away. Because you're so safe, you don't need it right now. And yeah, the feeling you're making it up, that's exactly right. From the top of your head to the soles of your feet, to the very end of your toes. Give it up, drop it. Create and sense a feeling of letting go.
And let's start with releasing some from the past. First of all, let's release the thought that in past New Year's, promises you made to yourself you didn't keep. Some New Year's resolutions you made you didn't hold on to. But that was the past. This is fresh. This is new. This is a beginning. Goals that you set, that you began to work on and didn't achieve, forgive yourself. Everything you've done up until now is perfect to bring you right here. And now it's time to face the release of the one anchor that has been holding you back the most. That one painful feeling, that one memory feeling of remorse or regret or embarrassment or shame, that feeling of a grudge you're holding, something from the past. You can remember how it happened, you can remember all the details, but the pain no longer serves you. You've learned the lesson. You will never repeat that behavior or allow that to happen to you again. You've learned what you needed to learn, and now the pain no longer serves you. So now's the time. Feel the pain. Remember the pain. Feel the pain. And as you do, release. Feel safe. And let the pain merge with the feeling of safe. And as it does, the pain fades away. And as you feel safe, you release the fear or shame. You release the anchor that held you back. And now you feel buoyant. You feel lighter as that anchor sinks lower and lower, no longer connected to you. Feel the pain and release. And each time that pain reoccurs, it'll be less, and you'll release it, and it'll be less, and you'll release it, and it'll be less, and you'll release it, and it'll be less, and you will be blessed. And you will be blessed. Blessed peace.
To forgive is to be for giving, to be in favor of giving. You initiate forgiveness. If any of these hurts or anxieties, this fear-based confusion, let it go. Breathe into it. Feel the letting go. That's forgiveness. Forgiveness is putting it down. It's saying to yourself, I understand it well enough. I don't need to carry it anymore. Feel the letting go. There's no point in carrying it anymore. I finally stopped and faced it here in this exercise. And I'm going to practice this some more so that I can just stop dragging all this garbage, this emotional baggage, all this hurt and heartache with me every place. Like it's part of me. Choose to let go. And as you understand it better, it'll fall away. That's forgiveness. Forgive those who may have hurt you or disappointed you. Forgive yourself for buying into it and for your own self-loathing and self-degradation and criticism. And the complicated ways we use hurt in our lives to reinforce childhood hurt, as if trying to prove some point, even protect and defend people who have hurt us and abused us. It's all too complicated for the mind to sort out. It's not the reasons that set you free. It's a willingness right now to feel the feeling, to sit with the feeling. With emotional turmoil tranquilized, and mental confusion quieted, and feel the letting go. That's forgiveness. Just put it down. You don't need it anymore. Forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive yourself for buying in. If you'd like, forgive God for refusing to intervene and for believing that you could handle it.
And as you release the past and all that was that hurts, remember the memories in great detail, but all the pain that hurt, you release by feeling safe as you feel it. Then you come to the now. And you come to the awareness that bliss is this is. And this is the is that is. This is the is. This is it. Right now, right here. None of that stuff from the past. None of the fears of the future. Right now, this is it. Right here, right now. Safe. Totally safe. The higher self always feels safe. It knows that if there's any real danger, the autopilot will take over, fight or flight will kick in. And it knows that anything but real danger is imaginary. and it always feels safe. So if the voice that you're hearing or the feelings that you're having or the thoughts that you're thinking in your mind, the pictures you're seeing are fearful or confused or anxiety-ridden, that's not the higher self. The higher self always feels safe. And the higher self feels safe enough to take the risk to imagine the best possible future. It knows that it doesn't matter if it actually achieves it. What matters is that it has an accurate target of what it wants the most. We're going to let the universe know exactly what the ideal outcome would be. So use the most powerful of your subconscious intelligences, the one called intuition, and ask yourself, what would be the best? For 2009, what would be the best? For the year to come, what would be the very, very best? In your career, in your relationships, in your money, in your health, in your family and friends, what would be the best possible outcome? And make that the target and move in that direction. And as you do, and fear comes up and doubt comes up, you get to release, feel the peace, and take one more step in the direction of the dream. Because happiness is the way and comes from the movement toward getting what you want, not from getting it.
In just a moment, we'll ask you to open your eyes, wide awake and alert, refreshed, rested, invigorated, re-energized, with a full and easy memory of this experience. And as we reorient ourselves and prepare to bring this awareness back into the room, consider what Steve said. That the truth of who you are lives eternally in a place where there is no fear, because there is no danger in this place, because there is no separation in this place, there is no other in this place. Notice how your mind steps right up and wants to work that program and tell you all about it and break it down and maybe argue with it. And what if instead you just let go, sort of comforted the mind and said, there, sit back, be easy, and instead just feel, without any logic or reasoning or rationalizing, how it feels to consider that the truth of who you are lives in a place where there is no fear, no danger, no separation. Just pretend. Make it up. And gently and effortlessly, no holding on necessary, no holding on allowed, reorient yourself now to the sounds of our voices.
And as it feels comfortable to you, take a deep breath. Don't we love those deep breaths? Take another deep breath and bring yourself back to wide awake. Wide awake from that place I love to think of as narrow awake. Awake, but totally focused on one thing, that wonderful, amazing alpha brainwave state. Again, the two basic premises for making your New Year's resolution, if you will, is to let go of the anchor that's been holding you back, the pain you're holding on from the past. Keep the memory, let go of the pain, and to attach to a dream that's really, really, really big. I mean, huge. Not so huge it's impossible, but so huge it's highly improbable. So huge that everything had to fall together just right. Because, again, it's not about hitting the target. It's about aiming at the target and getting as close as you can get.
Yep. Ready, aim, fire, aim, 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 aim. We're cybernetic systems. Right. We adjust, we react, we respond. And so consider in this new year that goals are less a destination than a direction. All right? I think you'll find that very
nice.
Very liberating.
I haven't heard that before. Goal is less a destination than a direction.
I've been listening to you say the same.
Well, in different words. I like that. I like that.
So it may be the first year you've ever thought of it quite that way. But again, we have to leave room in our lives, not only for the universe to give us what we aspire to and what we want, but also what we need. So,
which we may not even know.
Yeah, hold your dreams gently in the palm of your hands. Loosen up on the reins a little bit, and let providence and destiny play with your wonderful free will and your determination. Leave room for a nice, delicate little blend of intention and fate. And that's a new take on goal setting for 2009.
And remember that disappointment is not to be feared when you don't need to achieve the outcome. So there is no disappointment. The idea is, I'm going to get as far as I get. And that is victory. There's only victory. There's no room for seeing any failure, because every step is only victory.
And as we conclude this week's episode, I want to remind you that part of our mission in changing the world in the most uplifting and positive direction is to share these programs with other people. Use the Send One to a Friend gadget on FocusedPassion.com to send appropriate programs, shows that you really like, that made a difference in your life, to people that you know in your life who could really benefit from this show or that show or another show on a topic you know they could really benefit from. It's like he who teaches learns twice. There are so many benefits in you sharing and caring and honoring that. That's part of human nature, to care and to share, to give away what supports you. And you can do this an unlimited number of times for as many people as you'd like, as often as you'd like, for no charge whatsoever as a contributor at FocusedPassion.com. So check it out. Take your friends there. Remember the ED, FocusedPassion.com. And join us next week for our next episode of Finding Yourself in Paradise as we move into a brand new year, 2009. Happy New Year. And for Steve Snyder, this is Michael Benner. Be gentle, love life, and take care of each other. Aloha.